Check. 1, 2. 1, 2. Can everyone hear me there? Oh, there we go. Okay. If you bow your heads with me, please. Pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and speak to this great congregation. Dear Lord, I pray that the words of my mouth today are your words and not my words. I'm just your vessel that you're speaking through today. I pray that you give each and every one of us open hearts and open minds to receive your word today, and be able to take that word and use it in our lives and be able to spread your good news and your glory to the people around us that we interact with on a daily basis. Again, I just pray that you calm our nerves and give me the strength to give this message today, because it's your message, your Lord. I'm just your vessel. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen. Again, I want to thank Pastor Allen and this great congregation of St. John Presbyterian Church for allowing me to come and speak to you guys today. It's really an honor to be here. I pray that today will be a great message. Be still and know that I am God. Comes from Psalms 46:10, as we just heard. And I think that the Lord just wants us, as we're sitting here and I'm speaking to you guys today, that He just wants us to be still and know that He is God, and allow Him to be able to speak to us, allow our minds to be calm and be still as the Lord is speaking to us today. I'm going to repeat Romans 12, 1 and 2, and this comes from the New King James Version. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. And as I was studying for this message today in the Word, I came across this, which I think is a very important part that we need to understand as Christians. Christians are to be different from non-Christians. Society. We should constantly it should be a progressive transformation of our life by the renewing of our mind, and then our mind is changed by several things. Our mind can be changed by prayer, by reading, by reflection in God's Word, by worship, and by meditation in God's acts as the Holy Spirit works in it. Now, I just read there that it said it's supposed to be a progressive transformation that we as Christians are supposed to go through. Well, I kind of thought there for a minute, like, progressive, what does that really mean? Well, actually, when I looked up the actual Webster Dictionary definition of progression. Progression is a movement or development toward a destination or a more advanced state, especially gradually or in stages. So if we were to take that into our own Christian lives, we're supposed to be, as Christians, we're supposed to be constantly moving. We're supposed to be constantly developing to a higher state, because as Christians, we're in a personal relationship with God and we're getting to know God. So we should be constantly moving, constantly progressing toward that higher state. And it happens in stages. It doesn't happen all at once. When we come to know the Lord, it's not like, okay, I know everything now. No, it takes time. It takes time. And so we should constantly be progressing toward that state, toward a higher understanding of who we are and who we are in God and who God is to us. Now, we think about this, and when we come to know the Lord, we know that, we come from our backgrounds and things like that, and we're like, we've got a lot of things. As we become Christians, we learn that, life is different. We can't do the same thing that we used to do before we knew the Lord than what we do now. And it's like, well, what exactly does the Lord say about that when we become a new Christian? And this actually can be found in Ephesians 4, 22 through 24, which says that you put off concerning your former conduct the old man which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. There's that renewing of the mind again that keeps coming back up. And that you put on the new man, which is created according to God, and true righteousness and holiness. So when we come to know the Lord as Christians, we've got to put away that old man, that old self, and put on the new self that God has given us. Because when we accept the Lord as our Savior, He moves into our lives. He moves in. It's kind of like when you go into your spring cleaning and you take everything out, you move everything away, you clean up. Well, that's kind of what the Lord does to us. He moves in and kind of cleans out some stuff, and he dusts the cobwebs, he dusts the corners, he takes the trash out that's been sitting there for a while, and he makes us new. He makes us new. Now, when it comes to serving, we're like, oh man, we got to do this serving thing. The Lord talks about serving. Well, that's a little rough. That's tough. Well, the Lord has some things to say about that. He says that it's more blessed to give than to receive. That can be found in Acts 20:35. Now, a lot of times, and I know in my personal life, when I think of service, I'm thinking, oh, I gotta be in church. In order to serve the Lord, I gotta be in church. I gotta be in church. I gotta be involved in the church. I gotta do this, that, and the other. But no, actually, it's not necessarily that. This quote comes from somebody that we all know very well in this congregation. It says that everything we do and whatever role we play, we ought to do in service to the Lord. That quote comes actually from Pastor Allen. But the thing is that it doesn't have to necessarily be in church where we serve. You can serve in your school. You can serve at your work. We should be serving in our families. Serving each other as families as we grow together and that kind of thing. And we can serve in many other capacities. It just doesn't have to be church. Now, another thing with service, and of course I'm speaking from my own personal experience, I don't know if any of you guys deal with this, but when we think of serving, we're like, you know what, Lord, there's just days where I don't know about the serving thing. I gotta get up and I gotta do this. I want to do this today, but Lord wants me to do this. I don't know if I really want to do that. Well, Lord says something about that thought that we have in our heads. He says, through love, we serve one another, which can be found in Galatians 5:13, which means when we serve, not only do we serve, but we got to serve with that love. We got to come with that smile on our face. We got to come with that energy, because that's the same love that God is showing through us. Is that love? God is love, and He wants us to show that when we serve as well. And then again, as we read from Psalms 102, it says, "Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before His presence with singing." And I know there's a lot of things some service things that we do, may not think that you'd want to be singing about it. When you're collecting things off the side of the road, or you're doing some things that wouldn't necessarily be singing in the natural. But here's the thing, we can still come forward to the Lord with gladness and with singing, because God's given us that opportunity to serve. God's given us the opportunity to help other people when we take out that trash, when we collect things from the side of the road, when we help our families do something, or when we help our coworkers do something that we may not really want to do. But the thing is that God is helping that individual through us to serve them, and we're helping them with that love, and we're showing love. When we serve someone, especially at our work, they may just think, oh, well, he might just be doing that because that's his job. But no, we can serve through love, because we're showing love to that person by serving them, by helping them. Now, God also gives us tools where we can serve. And the great tool that the Lord has presented us here at St. John Christian Church is the Great Banquet. And, the Great Banquet was an interesting experience for me. I was invited by Rudy Owen. And when he invited me, at the time, this is back 2014. At the time, I was looking for something. I didn't know what it was, but I was looking for something. And at the time when Rudy invited me, I only known him as a coworker. We worked together on radio. I know you guys are sending me your condolences already. But anyway, I only knew him as a coworker. I knew that he was very knowledgeable in the world of radio. I looked up to him as a mentor, as someone I could learn from. But in radio. But through the Great Banquet, I got to know Rudy as a man. I got to know that Rudy is a man of God, and then he has a heart for God. And that was something that I wouldn't have learned behind the radio mic. I wouldn't have learned in an office setting. I got to learn that through an opportunity like the Great Banquet. And also through the Great Banquet, I found brotherhood. Rudy and I, we've become closer, whether he accepts that or not. He might deny that. But I believe that we've become closer. But somebody else that I also met was John Cherry. Didn't know John from Adam before the Great Banquet. And I met Don Cherry. Don Cherry and I, we've become brothers through this experience. And have you. And I'll get back to Don in a minute. There's a little extra about him. And what I have is the poster. But poster's not here. Poster is a visual demonstration of brotherhood. And so, when you come together at a great banquet, you have the opportunity to put posters together. Well, doing posters, you have to introduce yourself to people. You have to get to know people. You have to get to know more about someone. So a poster gives you an opportunity to learn about new people, to meet new people. But also, you're coming together as a group to demonstrate what you felt that you learned through the message that was given before you did that poster. And so through that, you're not only hearing from the Lord, but you're also learning about the Lord together as a group. And that bond and that brotherhood that you form in that time is very important. There are other men in this congregation today that I call my brothers because I met them through the Great Banquet. And we got to learn about the Lord together in a new way as brothers. And that's something that will never go away. These guys are my brothers for life. And I can call them and they can call me whenever they need something or what have you. And going back to Don, I thought I forgot, but I know. Going back to Don, about a year and a half ago, I'm a diabetic, and so that requires me, I'm type 1, I'm insulin dependent. Well, about a year and a half ago, this is back in March of 2015, I'd gone through a day, I went to bed the night before, I'd taken my insulin like I was supposed to. I got up the next morning when I heard a knock on my door. The maintenance men had come in, they were wanting to fix my furnace for something, so they came in, they fixed my furnace, and then I let them out. Well, next thing I did was I went back to sleep. And when I went back to sleep, the next thing I remembered is I was sitting at my kitchen table. Don was talking to me, asking me questions. Did I know where I was? Did I knew who I was? That kind of thing. And I had no clue what had happened. And what I found out through Don was that later on in that day, Don was scheduled to pick me up to come to a Great Banquet meeting. And he said that he knocked on the door. And when I entered the door, he said my eyes were glazed over and I wasn't really responsive. He'd asked me if I had anything to eat. And I guess I said no. He had checked my fridge. There wasn't much in the fridge. So he left, went right next door to Thornton's, picked me up a turkey sandwich and a thing of orange juice. He said when he came back, I was in the middle of my floor laughing, but I wasn't really responsive. And the next thing I know is that I'm sitting at my kitchen table and drinking an orange juice. There was half a sandwich that was already gone. So for a guy that loves food, I don't remember eating a half a sandwich. I don't remember drinking juice. But the point is, what had happened was I had a diabetic blackout because my blood sugar had gotten so low that I didn't remember. And I will never get those moments that he described to me. I will never get that memory back. But if it wasn't for Don, there's no telling whether I would be here today or not, because I live by myself. So, there's no way that I would have called somebody. I wouldn't have known to call somebody. And, it could have been a really scary situation. Don called my dad, believe it or not. I actually remembered my dad's phone number. And my dad told him to go ahead and take me to the hospital. And luckily I had other family members that were able to come and stay with me. But if it wasn't for Don, I probably wouldn't be here today. And because of the Great Banquet, I was able to form a brotherhood with a brother that literally saved my life. And, that's something that, will never be forgotten. And, I owe Don a lot, but I thank God for the opportunity of the Great Banquet to not only form a brother, but someone that saved my life. And, So there are two questions in life that we have to ask ourselves from time to time, whether we're 16, 20, 29, 45, 62. Sorry if I had anybody's ages out there, I apologize. But there's a couple questions we have to ask ourselves. Who am I, and where am I going with my life? We have to ask ourselves what we're doing. You know, are we doing what we want to do? Or as Christians, are we doing what God wants us to do? We can never allow activity, no matter how good it is, to crowd our times for serious reflection. As I said earlier, we have to renew our minds through studying the Word, through praise and worship, through time with God. And if we get so caught up with, you know, where am I going today? Our kids going to soccer practice. I got to get this project done for work. I got to do this. I got to do yard work. I got to do this, and that. There's no time for that serious reflection. And we have to have that serious reflection. We have to have that time with the Lord. Because if we don't, you know, as Christians, what are we really doing? You know, we're not learning, we're not growing. As I talked about that progressive transformation, it can't happen if we're not spending time with the Lord, if we're not reflecting upon His Word and how the Holy Spirit is working in us as God grows us and matures us in our Christian walk with Him. I quote that someone very close to me said to me not too long ago. Said, we've got to go into the Word and then go into the world. When we go into the Word, we learn from God. We take what we learn from Him in the Word and we go out to the world and we share that with others. And it may seem scary when we talk about the Lord to other people, you know, especially around people we've never talked to the Lord before about. But the thing is, when we study the Word gets in us. And when we go out, the Word doesn't leave us. So if we get scared, if we get nervous, the Lord's with us. The Word is with us. And so we have everything we need with us when we talk to people about the Word and we talk to people about the Lord. Now, remember I mentioned a thing called the Great Banquet? Yeah, it's coming up. There's one actually coming up. It's amazing how that works out. The men's Great Banquet is coming up October 20th through the 23rd. And ladies, don't worry, we don't want to leave y'all out either. There's a women's Great Banquet coming up the 3rd through the 6th. And I want to tell you that it's very important that we invite people to the Great Banquet because you never know the impact you're going to have in someone's life when you invite them to a Great Banquet. I can probably guarantee you that Rudy had no idea the impact that the Great Banquet would have on my life. And I can guarantee you Don never knew how important he would be in my life at the Great Banquet. So you never know. You can change a life by just extending an invitation. Because my life has definitely changed because Rudy extended the invitation to me. And let me tell you, I'm just with you guys. I got to work on inviting people too. You know, we're all in this together. But I want to thank you guys as a church for being with me through that time. Because I know there are a lot of you out here that prayed for me when I was going through that diabetic blackout situation. And I know this church has been with me ever since I've been a part of the Great Banquet community and the Great Banquet family. And I thank y'all so much for being there for me. Because it takes a village. And that's the truth, you know. I definitely need a village and a half. But anyway, I want to leave you with this verse. And this verse is actually the message of the Great Banquet. It comes from Mark 12, 30 and 31. It says, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Think about the people that you interact with on a daily basis at home, at work, in your social settings, or you just someone you talk to every day. You never know. That person you talk to may be waiting for an opportunity for a Great Banquet. Rudy didn't know that in my heart of hearts I was looking for an opportunity like a Great Banquet, but because he extended the invitation and I accepted, it turned into me being here today, being able to talk to you guys. I owe the Lord everything because he lined that up. It wasn't a mistake that God put the Great Banquet here. He put it here for a reason. He loves this congregation. He loves this church. And there's a reason that it's here. He didn't just close his eyes and point and say, okay, that one. No, there's a reason, there's a purpose, and there's a plan. And it's a community. We just kind of come together and invite everyone that we can think of because no one is never good enough. You know, anyone can benefit from the Great Banquet, and I think that we just have to as Christians, we just have to be, we just have to invite people. God is with us when we go and invite. So we're not alone when we invite people. And God will give us the words to say when we do it.